it's worth it to try and take on Bila and Peterbot, but I disagree. I think if we all throw the kitchen sink at him at the same time, that duo can't take on the entire lobby. So I think, Jacob, we should be playing for high ground, tackle that Rift Island. Eventually, the Juggernauts have to fall.
Yeah, no matter what you thought in the previous 5 games, it's your last chance. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. You don't want to have any regrets when this day is over. Even though there's a massive lead between Peterbot and Bylaw, you got to go ahead and scratch that one off. Pretend there's 7 spots up for grabs, and they're not even in the game. Right now, that threshold is 176 points. Will anybody reach it? We'll find out, because the last game of the day starts now.
All right, Jacob. Well, you heard it. This is it. It's game number 6 of the Last Chance Major. And after this, we'll know definitively who will be qualified for the Global Championship, the pinnacle event of the year. And of course, it's all going down in Copenhagen, and tickets are available for purchase now. If you've been thinking about it, oh yeah, make that decision. We want to see you there. It's going to be crazy.
Definitely going to be something that you don't want to forget. And I already see the map right there. Before we even see any players drop, and somebody got knocked out of the sky. So already players are taking this opportunity to try to get that top 8 placement, and they're trying to run with it. Bully and Shadow, they got their split drop. There's not too much loot over here where they currently land, so their loot path is going to be so impactful. And you got to watch out, because game 6, a lot of teams switch up their drops, they switch up their game plan, so it's going to be up to them to figure out where they're going to get the rest of their loot from, and if anybody's going to contest it.
Love the quick rotate here. There's plenty of action up at the Frenzy Field that they know they need to have a conversation or a part taken, because they're just a few eliminations away from honestly solidifying 230 or so points, right? And saying, hey, I think we can hold on to top 8 with that. We'll see what ends up coming about from it. You see just next door, it's Chip and Tabnate there too, so it's not like they're the only team on that conversational threshold. But jumping on over to Chicken and Slicks here at the Naughty Nets, one of the few places the zone has actually ended on. You can see that it's just all back and forth there. But Jacob, let's tune in with Pamstone and Thatch. Last game they got snuck up on. Do you think they're going to make adjustments here?
I feel like they are. They're a team that literally has to adapt, and they've shown they can adapt on the fly. Only worry is their split drop. That's the thing that's only concerning, because it's how they tend to get picked off if they do get picked off. It's when they're separated from one another. I always talk about the strength in numbers, and all it does take is 1 second of separation from your duo for another team to notice it, and they're going to go ahead and try to attack.
Now Tunin with Polarized in his duo. So far, so good. That last second place performance, top 3 for them, was all they needed to bump them way back on into the conversation here. And they do have the very much powerful racetrack to themselves. Meanwhile, Quanti and TK have basically been earning it back in sweat and slurp juices here at the Slappy Shores, fighting their way through any team here and north on this coastal region. And it really has been a very impressive performance from Quanti and TK, because they haven't really been an endgame team. They've been like all the entertainment in early and mid game, but clearly it's been enough to keep the top 6.
Yeah, and it's been the strategy over and over and over. They don't fight the team south of Slappy Shores. They move towards the north side of the map, towards those split drops where they know those players are already starting these early game fights, and that's how they're trying to get their surge. From one side to the other, though, Naughty Nets, Slick's going to land a good shot, but he takes one himself, being backed down all the way to low ground. Tokyo's trying to make up for it, but he gets dropped. It's all up to Prism to try to make this happen in our final game. Did land just a little bit of a shot before trying to disengage towards the north. He has plenty of shields to work with, but I don't think Chicken and Slick want to let this elimination slip through their fingers.
Yeah, they're finally looking for their moment here to find themselves a nice big elimination. It's been a rough day for the duo here, but ultimately, you can still close out strong. Try your best.
Should the team slow it down into 2v1. Slick's current HP, he knows the possibility of getting one shot. It is going to be there. They're going to capture that POI, give themselves a little bit more loot to work with. They're going to know exactly where Prism was at. He's spotted out for a couple of seconds. Chicken, Slick, they're using those seconds to try to go ahead and land some shots at the high ground. Prism is doing a fantastic job fighting back between these two players.
And it's just going to continue to pace out like we talked about here. They have all the time on the zone to work with. Prism looks for an opportunity, finds a big one, but gets punished in the process as well. Slick finds another tag there. That's going to surely give him the advantage. A much needed reset for him. He gets 1 mini. That's enough to make him feel confident, but the fall damage, Z runs out of material. Now that was an uncalculated risk there that he didn't see coming, but luckily things do end up closing out.
Got me holding my chest after that one, seeing him fall all the way down. I thought it was going to be Raps and it was going to end up in a 1v1 situation. Luckily for them, it doesn't. The vault going on over. Clix and Epicwell have already separated themselves to 2 different locations. Try to give themselves an opportunity to get even more surge underneath their belt. You can see the vault is going to be over towards Mega City this time around. Got to imagine it's Jeff and Bacon who are trying to be the first ones there, get 3 points, but more importantly, it's the loot. Pump without his teammate. Users on the other side, lost accept. I'd imagine that's where the elimination comes from. He gets the box. The first shot's going to be landed, and Pump as a solo, keeping the dream alive.
This is a great player. Very, very good player. That was no easy fight for him to finish up right there, but hey, they end up coming out on top, and this is one of those teams that need that 10+ elimination victory royale to make it through, but the dream's not over. So we'll continue to see who will make that star-studded run. We haven't seen many 10+ elimination games here today. Just showing you that although these are the last players looking to compete for that last chance, here in the last chance major for the global champion spot, that it's a difficult thing to do nonetheless. The quality of lobby we have here.
It's definitely possible in this lobby to get those 10 elims, get the victory royale. That's 105 or so points, depending on if you capture any of those mid-match objectives as well. But that's a lot of pressure to put on oneself or a full team going into this last game. And luckily for Day and Redux, they don't have to have that 10 elimination victory royale. They just need to squeak themselves higher. We saw that threshold. It is 176 points. They're only 16 points shy of getting inside of that bubble. For reference, 4 points for elimination. That's only 4 elims before they're tied inside of that bubble.
Against the team that fell out of the bubble. We're out of the top 8 and into the cushion that surrounds it. It's Dorito and Yasir. Like we talked about, the merging of NA Central here, everything coming together has played a benefit for them as they've continued to find their moments, pick up their strides here, but this is it. The last chance literally is right now as we're in game 6.
And if you notice, they captured that POI, right? That team right above them, we're trying to sneak and close in on the distance very, very quietly. But because they captured that POI, their positions were given up. It's like a little red little mark above these players' heads, letting them know exactly where they're at. Yeah, where their location is. And you can see Dorito and Yasir are using that information, and they're slowly rotating in that direction to hopefully gatekeep them out.
Yeah, they're trying to cut them off right there. See what kind of opener they can catch on them. That'll be the difference. TK and Quality on the other side. From the north side of Slappy have soldiered their way through to the south here now, trying to get their metal reserves up. And instead of sticking around, they're going to get going now. They see the zones right in front of them, but I'm more concerned about the fact that they haven't fought just yet. At least not that we can tell. Hard to tell. I mean, they're halfway through material. For all we know, they did get into somewhat of a skirmish, but all in all, we've seen them have much more eliminations usually this early, so this could be a Storm Surge game that ends up becoming an issue for them. Cardi and Patek on the other side, on the outskirts here, working their way past Mega City.
A lot of players going to have to rotate in this direction, and that's why you see some still positioned on those buildings in Mega City. For them, they believe it's easy surge to try to get on these rotating players. A little bit of a miss with the Mammoth. That would have been huge for Cardi and Paytech, especially if it was a headshot. Try to take down Bluzro, who now immediately turns the focus back onto Cardi. Neither player really landing shots, so it's no loss for either one of them. For Clix and Epicwell, though, 209 points. They did a good job of getting themselves inside of the bubble, because that was a discussion we were talking about. But I'm going to throw it on over to Kelly to give us more of what Epicwell and Clix's game plan is.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Obviously, we already know Peter Bot and Byler are doing a good job, but let's talk about a team that hasn't just made it yet, Clicks and Epic Whale. Despite having 11 eliminations, which is the second lowest out of our top 10, 7 of their eliminations have come against teams in our top 10 position. So arguably having the best quality of eliminations we've seen so far.
Great job for them to set themselves up right. That's what a lot of people watching, fans of Clicks, fans of Epic Whale, are kind of hoping to see. But next time we tune into them, I just want to see where they're faring on Storm Surge. Even though they have a prolific last couple of days leading up until this point, their overall problem through this FNCS Major 3 up until now, landing towards Mega City, is Storm Surge. They haven't been able to get that plan down packed yet, so interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, there's a lot going down, though. Blake and Mac would actually end up getting into a fight against Vert, and take a look at how Blake ends up dropping Vert here, going back and forth, and actually securing the eliminations here. This is a massive, massive set of eliminations for this team. Macwood and Blake, after Game 5, had jumped up 11 positions to put themselves in the top 15, and now they're fighting their way closer and closer to the top 8. Let's not forget, we had that early interview with Blake at the top of the show. He explained to us that they felt extremely confident coming into the game because they know that they have what it takes as one of the more veteran, accomplished duos here in the lobby. With that being said, you can see it has not been easy by any means for them.
Yeah, Macwood alone has the 4th most Grand Finals appearances for any other player in NA, with 15 total. So this will be huge for him if he does not make it. Kind of ending a little bit of a streak that he does have going on, but it just goes to show that experience, even though it's good to have in a lobby like this, it doesn't mean everything. You have to be playing well over a course of 6 games, even if you do leave it to that last and final game. As you see, God and Chris rotating on around. For them, 142 points. They're about 30 points shy of that bubble as it stands now, without any placement points sticking in. So for them, they're going to be looking to have a big placement game, maybe sprinkle in a few eliminations.
Unfortunately, NPen and D-Roller there fall in the feed as well. So the run is over, my dear friend SBG. The team you were rooting for, unfortunately, could not make it here at the last chance major. Every elim we see in the feed starting to light up, every duel that gets crossed out, I mean, those are the upsets.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of players falling quick, including Byla on the feed getting knocked. I mean, Storm Surge is going to happen later on in the game, so it's going to be hard for teams to realize where they're at when it comes to that actual threshold. So when it
Byla
does finally pop up, it might be careful.
Byla got knocked. This could be everyone's chance, everyone's moment. I'm curious to see if he tried to W key the Rift Island and got sniped out the sky for being in the Rift to go or something like that. Peter Bot finds Scolds. Okay, so maybe not so simple there as the fight's breaking out right now, but my oh my, this lobby actually has a chance here to accrue some points, because if Peter Bot and Byla aren't sniping them all up, literally lighting them ablaze, then that means other players have the opportunity to get those 15 or so points from the Rift Island. But hold up. Let's see it here. This is a battle. Pretty much. What's this? Right underneath the Rift Island? Are we on top of it? I can't even tell at this point.
Yeah, with the audio visuals, they knew Peter Bot was trying to get that revive. He has to disengage, leave Byla down there, and this is a huge blessing. Not only the points that are going to be left on the table, but high ground as well. They've been consistent in being able to gather it, so them going down now would be a blessing to every single player and team in this lobby. It's about who's going to be brave enough to fight him. Now that he's a solo, he has a bit more flexibility, knowing he doesn't have to try to backtrack to save his teammate. He already had that game 1 where he had a ton of solo impact points. If he could somehow mimic that here, let me say he probably would be at the top of my list for one of the best players in the game.
Oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Big things can happen right now. Trashy not trusting a single bush in sight. This is a whole fight happening just on the underskirts. Trashy and Clarity G here, probably considering going on up for it, but a little too late to the party now. This is just outside the racetrack, so I have to assume Polarized and Agent are nearby in a potential great position.
Yep.
You can see them in the distance.
Ask and you shall receive. Blake and Macwood leaving it to this last game.
Scary little triangle right here. I also saw Clicks and Epic Whale nearby. All the teams that need to compete are literally hovering around one another.
Yeah, and a lot of those teams, Rift Island as well, in the distance. These are players, these are targets that they could try to get their damage on as well. It's kind of why you're seeing Blake, Macwood try to utilize a lot of these bushes, a lot of the builds that are already there, because you know as well as I do, even if they don't know you're there, if they see those fresh builds in the distance, that at least makes their eyes wander in your direction.
Blake and Macwood, 2 elims, just looking for anything that's moving. Things are going to be settling down there on the north side. Epic Whale and Clicks doing exactly that as well. Trying to fish something out. He might have better angles actually onto Blake and Macwood, who are just nearby.
I feel like this was one of their biggest adjustments as well. Moving from Mega City on over to this racetrack hill. We've seen them do it against players in our grand finals as well, trying to mimic that, especially with Outpolarized and Agented there to try to take it from them as Skulls and Dash finally finished the job. And I don't know if you heard that one, but a sigh of relief came over the lobby. The team that totally takes high ground game after game is no longer there. So if you saw that in the feed, that begins to make my mind wonder. I start formulating a strategy for this endgame.
You know, this is the first thing, the first time for everything. That's the first time I've ever rooted against first place not staying alive in the final game of the lobby. 1, because they don't need it. 2, because they're such a disruptor to the game. And I would love for more points to go to the remainder of the players that actually need it. So this is going to work out really, really well. This is going to also cause much more, I would say, volatility in the top 20 now, because Peterbot and Byla not rampaging through the end game here is going to be perfect for those teams that need to start picking things up.
Yeah, and this is going to be one of them right here, Noxie and Chris. They had an incredible turnaround. After game 2, they were 29th place. They're currently positioned 7th place on the leaderboard. So even though they slipped up in game 5, about a 43rd place, this is their chance to make up for it and qualify for that global championship. And they don't need anything major. They just need a basic game out of themselves.
Well, Dorito and Yasir have to be careful, though. You have Quanti and TK right above you. We don't know their surge situation at the moment. They have been playing this outer edge, this dead side rotate. We saw them in Slappy Shores exit with 0 eliminations. They're still just there. They might be desperate for surge here in the coming moments. And if that's the case, then our top 8 of Yasir and Dorito, who are just below them, might be in for the fight of their evening.
Yeah, and if you see the zone right now, half of it is covered. A smart play for a lot of these teams, even though they're positioned high in the mountain now, is to rotate along with that zone. As long as they have a safe rotation there, no teams are looking that direction, because then they're going to put themselves on that slow side of the zone where not many teams traveling from Mega City will even be able to reach that side. So it's definitely a little bit of a risk, but if it pays off, it's definitely worth it overall.
Where it is, the surge is active, and we'll start getting updates on the remainder of the lobby. Trashy and Clarity G end up becoming the line of fire for Jeff and Bacon. They must be pretty desperate right now to secure some tags, and they've already gotten some. Trashy gets a moment of fire back, goes for the mammoth tag, doesn't find one as the tags come in from the other side. This might be the lobby focus of the weekend here. And off they go. Forced back and further back here now.
It's like when it rains, it pours. They see Jeff and Bacon shooting on in that direction. High ground says, hey, I want to join the party. I want to have a little fun. While all this is going down,
there it is
still threading the needle, getting those shots directly through, backing down Jeff, making him think twice about focusing some heavy hits in this lobby. And that's a great trade yet again from Trashy and Clarity. Now with the zone pulling away, they have to go in that direction, and this is going to give them a green light. The only team directly in front of them, they know they're weak. Oh no.
This is just crazy to watch. What happened?
When Blake went down.
Oh no. Just outside the top 10 as well, as they were fighting their way on up. But I did see Shadow find himself in elimination, so that means there is Shadow and Bully still in the conversation here. Okay, teams at the top 20 are now starting to fall, and our options of top 8 are beginning to slim down. Look at this, Pam still in the distance there, 50% HP on him. Batch is still alive. Bully and Shadow are fighting their way up this hill here. I think they've done it. I think they have surely done enough now as they're starting to pick up eliminations here. And placing points just around the corner. They're moments away from a top 8 solidified, which is huge for Bully and Shadow. I've seen Bully show up to in-person event after in-person event, fighting for qualifications, as has Shadow. You know, I met Shadow when he was competing at the as young as 13, by the way.
Wow.
At PAX. Yeah, I had no idea. It was incredible.
Goes to show that a lot of these players have been around for a little bit, getting their chance to shine here. 56 above the damage threshold, which isn't much for Bully and Shadow, but it's enough for them to continue their rotation. While every battle's going down around the map, Clicks is going to fall. Epic Well needs to figure out a way to hold on here. Even though he is inside of the bubble, 209 points means anybody below him could pop off. Placement points haven't set in. It's only the top 27. We need a couple more teams to fall before you get granted anything for your efforts in this game.
Well, listen, Bully just got knocked. Clicks is down and out. This is a difficult situation now for our top 3 team here. Epic Whale's left to do it by himself. Again, you know, he's not all the way there just yet. Yes, they're in the end game. Yes, he's still top 3, but anything can truly happen here and now, depending on who's alive in the lobby. It is just that close.
And I think Epic Well knows the situation he is. He's a 6-time FNCS champion. Played at the FNCS Invitational. He knows what it's like to play against the best of the best and come out alive, and that's what he's looking to do here. Same thing with Pamstu and Fatch. They qualified for every grand finals this season, including this last chance major. For them to slip out of that trend now and not qualify for the global championship will be devastating, especially for myself. This is one of the teams, because they're an OG. They're a team that's been playing together for so long. No matter what they face, they usually figure out a way to come out on top.
This is really crazy, too. We're like in a moment right now for Fatch and Pam where they're in 7th place. They're literally on the line. They cannot afford to make a single mistake right now. They fall here. They fall short, and that's it. The chance to go to global championships completely slips out of their fingers, and they've been fighting for it all year long. One of the few teams that have come exceptionally close, major after major. Chip and Tabney are still alive, too, which is crazy to see that. Once again, Tabney made that late return here to Fortnite just for the last chance major here to play alongside his good friend Chimp. Death takes down Shadow. Okay, there's a lot of exchanges happening here now. Important ones. Meanwhile, Quanti and TK find a piece of the puzzle there of Dorito. That might be the end for Yasir and Dorito as their chances come to an end.
Yeah, it's great to see Quanti and TK performing so well, because we question it. Without their early game eliminations, without that early game surge, how will they fare going into the late game? Well, they've performed well above even their own standards so far, but they realize the job is not done just yet. There's still more to go before they hit the finish line. Epic Well bouncing, tossing, turning all around, trying to escape what could be the elimination, and he's still trying to survive. 293 points. Every placement here, Monster, means he's that much closer to the global championship.
And just a single material below the surge. Zone is already moving. Epic Whale has everything to fight for here and now. 223 points might not be enough, but he's going to say, hey, I'm going to sit here in the zone and just wait it out and go for placement points and basically pray for the best. I don't know how I feel about that, but we will see when the standings are done if it is going to be enough. Meanwhile, on the other side, TK is still fighting for it. Epic Whale finally makes the decision to get outside the zone and come on in. It's AV Silver, separates him and the rest, and there it is. He finds the elimination that he absolutely so desperately needed, and he also gets heals for the troubles. This is it.
It's massive. 227 points, continuously climbing up the leaderboard. Day and Redux, though, last time we saw them, they were just outside of that bubble, so there's still more left in the tank for them to try to overcome this adversity, and they're doing such a great job recycling the majority of the builds and going through almost unscathed to the front side of the zone.
And you can really see now how close the competition is. Take a look at how close some of these other players are. Noxie and Chris fighting their way up, finding eliminations and placement points as well here that haven't even been factored into the total equation, right? This is how close the top 8 is going to be. Polarized, Scented here, still fighting for it as well. They have so much more to continue to battle through because you have Pamster and Fatch alive. You have Bully here, still barely holding on in this end game right now.
This is a battle for the bubble. Hopefully nobody gets bursted and they fall all the way down that leaderboard. Chris, he has a huge mountain to climb, and they're doing it all day long. I said it before, 29th place after game 2. He just needs to be able to hold on. Top 10 performance here, and he's squeaking his way through for even more placement points.
I don't know. Quanti's still here. He's turning up. He finds himself another elimination. I'm looking at Chip and Tabney down low. How many elims did they manage to pick up in the meanwhile of this entire chaotic endgame? Quanti's still going, though. He's saying, hey, listen, count us in. We have surely done enough, as they are just destroying the lobby here. Meanwhile, Thatch actually found Chris there on the rotate here, and the French Canadians are battling their way through into the top 10 here now.
Yeah, going into this game, they were the bubble. They were the line to cross. And right now, nobody has been able to cross their path so far. They're doing so well to try to go ahead and boost themselves up the leaderboard. Thatch even being selfless, giving all those builds on over his teammate to go ahead and lead him to the promised land.
This is great. They were hot, they were cold, and then they start to turn up again, and what a better way for them to go ahead and start to close out the game number 6 in a top 5 performance now. They have made it this far, and it should be enough for them to punch their way through, but Polarized and Agent might just need a little bit more, but the French Canadians are not going to give it up just yet. They're continuing to fight their way through. They see Chris in front of them. It's a 2v1. One big tag will be enough to take any of them out, but they are still powering their way through any of these builds here. The water doesn't make it any easy when they don't have any materials to work with, and the river's gonna start to drag them down into the deep end here. Meanwhile, Polarized hops on into the low ground, and it's High Ground who is still alive and in the operation here.
They've been so quiet up to this point. That's Clugs, that's BQtify at the top of the mountain, going against superstars of the region. Agented and Polarized were out of builds, mostly on the low ground. Very little to work with. They're ready for the challenge. Agented's gonna go up. Just a sliver of a shot landed, trying to chop down High Ground. Polarized gets the BQtify, so it's up to Clux. What heals does he have? Because he's playing towards the heal off. Agented goes down, and Polarized on the chase to take the elimination and steal that game away and punch themselves to the global championship.
That might have actually been exactly what he needed to make sure they had enough points for the global championship. My oh my, what a last chance major this was. We have seen an exceptional amount of performances, but in the end, only the leaderboards can truly tell who did enough.
Yep, right now it's looking like that Polarized and Scented combination through this game, finding the most important eliminations, including Pamsu and Fatch on the low ground. They had no builds at that point. The builds that they got were from that siphon, that refresh that they were able to scrape together, and that smart play to shoot down High Ground, because imagine if Clux was able to run away. Polarized would have never gotten this opportunity. They took the game in their own hands, and they took over that entire Game 6.
Now this does leave the question in the air, did Epic Whale do enough there? You can see down by those points that a lot of teams are really starting to rack up a ton of eliminations there in the end. And like I said, I can only reiterate, only the leaderboards can truly tell us if there was enough at the end of the day. So Jacob, from myself, Monster Deface, and yourself, Jacob PR on the desk, we're gonna just swing it on over one more time to Zeke and the boys to bring us home.
Why do you guys put this job on me? Why? Okay, it's fine. Stress. You know, old Zeke, I just stress because that's what I do. Wow. Polarized, Agented. Can we just talk about how disgusting that slide headshot was in the storm there? That was sick. Wow. But this was a huge victory royale for them. 7 eliminations as well. Vivid, these standings are going to be wild.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's first and foremost talk about the great win to clutch it up in game number 6 here from Agented and Polarized. I mean, they needed this coming into this game. They went ahead and delivered. And SPG, if you remember, we had a little bit of a conversation. We talked about, where the zone decides to go in, game number 6 will probably decide a lot. Well, look at this. This is right in the backyard of this NAW's landing spot.
It's quite helpful when you really don't have to move whatsoever. You kind of just take a few steps to your right, and you go to the left a little bit, and this team played so well today. This is what I wanted to see from them all major. I wanted to see during this chapter these two play to this level finally doing it when it was the last opportunity to, and I'm grateful because now we get to see more of Agented and Polarized.
There's so many things, man. Okay, there was many questions we had,
There's a lot.
but they're going to get answered right here, right now. We have our standings. We can see which duos have qualified to the lower bracket of the Global Championships, and here they are, right there at the very end. We saw Day and Redux make a big move, but it was just not enough. And look at the names from top to bottom. Some to point out, obviously, Peter Bombila. Massive congratulations. Agent and Polarized moving up. But look at some of these other names. Clicks and Epic Whale going through. Pamstu and Fatch, Bully and Shadow all going through.
Oh my gosh, and look at this. SPG, your wishes, they have been granted. Pamstu and Fatch clutch up in game number 6. I feel like throughout the entire day, they were just toying with us, playing around that 8th place area. They finally did it. And I mean, listen, shout out to Agent, because with Agent sent it up there in 2nd place, Agent Fatch coming in clutch as well. They're going 6 out of 6 in terms of representation towards global, so that is big news for them. For me, though, Clicks and Epic Whale, that is awesome.
Yeah, you get to see it. And Epic Whale putting the team on his back, though, in this last game.
True.
Just being like, all right, dude, Clicks, I got you. I've been here before. I'm not afraid of this moment. Taking over when it needs to be had. And nothing crazy, right? He didn't do anything absurd, but at the same time, he played it so fundamentally sound. Played every single last white heal that he had in order to maximize that placement, and that's why we're seeing them up here. And I mean, look at Bully and Shadow. They're a team that were in the top 3, now fell down to 8 in that last game. It was absolutely wild.
How fierce this competition was, coming down to the wire. Think about all the times as well we saw Pamps and Fatch. They're only on 2 elims. They had to make the placement matter. Like you said, Epic was by himself. Any mistake he would have made would have just shut them out, and that would have been it, but they managed to clutch up. Now, as we turn attention to the top 3, Peterbot, Vila, you guys, well, first off, it's great to have you guys back together. This is phenomenal. You looked phenomenal today. I don't know what happened, and I hope whatever it was, we can just, hopefully everything's cool. Maybe you guys just need a break. I don't know, but I'm glad to see this duo back together. They put on an absolutely ridiculous show, over 200 points ahead of everybody else in the lobby. And once again, let's just think about global championships, right? Let's just put this in the context of globals. If they were to have a similar performance, just imagine how that would affect everybody else. We saw what a duo so dominant on the high ground can do, and how that literally goes and impacts every single duo on the standings, Vivid, siphoning away those points. I want to see that transferred to globals.
Yeah, I mean, they just called chaos within every single game today amongst the leaderboard throughout the entirety of the 6 games. But I just want to point out, it is undeniable that Peterbot is one of the best mechanical players in the world, for sure.
Nuts.
But this actually is very, very interesting. Peterbot and Byla both had 19 elimination each, which of course tied them both on the same duo, by the way, for most individual eliminations. So, I mean, shout out to Byla for keeping up with the mechanical genius that Peterbot is.
Well, and I'm just so happy to see them meet the expectations that were set from them. They've been so good. They've shown it at times, and then coming into this last chance major, proving to everyone we are this good. Now they have another step to climb. It's going to be the lower bracket in global championships,
Right. Yup.
but they've done that hard work.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk about Death and Tahi here on the day. 2nd place overall. Now, of course, they didn't quite hit the 489 points like Peterbot and Violet did. That's wild. But still, they put on a performance, and it was a consistent performance as well. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's Agented. But yeah, still, overall, they put on a more consistent performance, which I feel like is more in line with kind of what we're used to seeing in Fortnite. Not dominant 200-point leads,
Yeah, of course, Agenta there pulling out the second place, and it's really, really funny, right? Because second place is kind of like home to him in some regards. But yeah, of course, we saw the low round come out of this duo in all of the games where they did do good. I think it was the second game of the day, and then the fifth and the sixth game on the day. So really, the second place that they got in the fifth game with 7 eliminations, and then backed up by the first place with 7 eliminations in the sixth game. Really, they clutched it up when it really mattered in the end. I got to say, though, shout out to them playing so well when the zones actually came to them, right? Because we talked about it a lot. In a no mobility meta, sometimes it can be hard when these zones actually pull towards your POI because Storm Surge can be a really hard thing to actually tackle. But I think the experience that Scented has in these types of situations ended up being no problem for this duo.
Yeah, they proved they are that kind of duo that will be playing at the Global Championship. And again, this is one of those moments where you question, okay, is Agenti going to show up and be the player that we know he's going to be and capable of being? The answer is yes, like emphatically yes after this performance. Now I'm interested to see how they're able to do this going into Globals. And right behind them in third was Death and Tahi, like you mentioned, Zeke. These two, very quiet. I feel like we didn't talk about them a ton, but played so well, had several solo clutches by Death. And again, another team, if we just look at this entire leaderboard, it's all like the who's who of Fortnite. Tons of old names and also some newer names of Noxy and Crisp. Shout out to those guys for breaking into that top 8 and now having a moment where they can now prove themselves to the world.
Absolutely, man. And what better way to show that than right here, right now? Of course, the job's not done. Like we've been talking about, they still will have to fight through the lower bracket, but they've still made it to Global Championships. And that is another stepping stone, right? All they need to do is do this same thing again, and then we could see them competing in that upper bracket. Tahi here, Death, a big congratulations to the duo, and I can't wait to see how they continue to evolve and grow and refine as we lead into Globals.
And as you can see here, I mean, we kept talking about how there are so many duos who have so many FNCS finals appearances, but Tahi with 9, right? That just means that he has come into the scene a little bit later, and the fact that he's able to still place up there and make it to these types of events just speaks volumes to how good he really is.
Yeah, and shout out to Death, because Tahi was thinking about quitting or taking a break for a little bit, and somehow he gets his boy Tahi out of retirement, or quote-unquote retirement, and they're able to qualify for the biggest tournament of the year. So that is a massive achievement by these two.
Well, guess what, SPG? We can ask him that question ourselves, because guess what? We have Death standing by for an interview. Death, what is up, man? First off, I'm so happy to see the big smile. Massive congratulations, man. You've qualified to Globals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is so good to see, man. So talk me through this, man. Let's start baseline. Talk me through the emotions. How does it feel to know you are going to Global Championships?
Dude, it's crazy because, like, we didn't make grands because of, like, some stuff that happened, misplays, whatever. Now we're here and we actually made it through. Now we get to go to Copenhagen, so feeling good. Very excited. Got to grind more so we can get top 25 and probably even win Copenhagen.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Vivid.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, how are those 6 games feeling for you guys, right? Did you guys kind of feel like you had it solidified going into the end of things, halfway through, were you feeling confident? How was that feeling?
We got second first game, and then we died as Surge next game, second game, because me, like, I just did a bad IGL rotate, and then from there I just knew, like, we were locked in, because, like, it was just that mega city zone that was, like, messing us up, and I got it on lock, and from there I just knew we were qualifying no matter what.
And your duo mate Tahi said he was quitting or taking a break, and he comes out of retirement, plays with you, and you guys qualify for now the largest tournament in several years. Was that you?
Man.
Did you bring him out of retirement? Like, what happened there?
Man, I love Tahi. Like, that's actually like my best friend. Like, I actually love that guy to death. Like, thank God, like, he came back to me, because if it wasn't for him, I would not be going to Denmark right now. He carried the Sorry, I don't want to curse. He carried me today so hard. Like, actually best player. Nobody knows it, but he's actually so good. And I can't wait for him to show that at Denmark.
That is so awesome, man. So for you guys, as you start to focus on Denmark, what's one thing you guys are hoping to refine and sharpen up, so when you hit Globals, there is no question. No one can look at you and say, nah, they don't deserve to be here. You can tell them, no, we deserve to be here.
Well, we want to first make sure our off spawn is right and like perfect because we know there might be U teams that quad from Shattered Slabs that could con us. So want to make sure that's right. And after that, we just got to make sure our rotates are good for Surge, and then we'll show them what's up.
I love it, man. And of course, for all those people out here, there's a ton of fans who now are looking at you. They're saying Death. They're saying Tahi. 100%. We got to follow them. Where can they find you? Because I'm going to need everyone to go do that.
Well, you can find me Death NYC like on any platform, just Twitter and like Twitch, and like Tahi FN on like everything, I think. But yeah.
That's awesome. Man, well, once again, just a huge congratulations. We can't wait to see you in Copenhagen. We can't wait to see how you and Tahi bring everything you've got into Global Championships.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Of course, brother, of course. Ooh. A big congratulations to the duo, Death and Tahi, who ended the day on top 3. Fantastic stuff. So now we know, gentlemen, it's really weird in some ways to be like, man, all year long we've been doing like these major things, and I'm like, all right, Global Championships, let's lay it on the year. And now here we are. We know everybody going. We have a list that we can look at that says, here is all of the names. So let's take a look together. These are your qualified players out of Majors 1, 2. Remember, we just finished Major 3 last week, so we have those list of names for you guys as well. But most importantly, we have the 25 duos going to Global Championship in the lower bracket. Here is the list of every name from all of the regions respectively, and take a look at some of these names, Vivid. Globals is going to be absolutely insane.
I mean, listen, EU had a crazy performance, right? We get to see Hen, we get to see Vidil and Mr. Savage, Vortex, Belusi, awesome stuff there, and NA did not disappoint either. We got Peterbot and Byla reuniting. The storyline there is crazy. We'll get to see Agented returning to the in-person event alongside a new duo this time in Polarize, and of course, Clicks fans rise. Epic Whale also returning to the big stage. I am excited for Globals.
I'm right there with you, Vivid. I mean, this is arguably the greatest Fortnite lobbies we're ever going to see, or at least at this moment. Hopefully in the future they only get better, but as a Fortnite nerd myself, you just love to see all these players, all the hard work, and now the success that they've had is going to pay off, and they get to compete at the biggest stage.
What's wild, boys, is we have to hold down NA. We got to say, look, is NA the best region? Yes.
Oh,
and we just got to hope that we can beat EU, as I can hear Levin laughing at me from EU as we speak. But listen, that is pretty much it. We now know the full list. If you want to go to Globals, tickets are still available. Check this out. This is the Global Championship.
The best players in the world all battling it out.
Insane matches already today.
These are the moments that make these players championship material.
One chance to make it happen, and they take it by force.
It is going to be absolutely insane. We would love to see all of you in Copenhagen. If you can make it, there's going to be crazy games, 3 days, a bunch of upper, lower bracket players like you wouldn't believe, 6 regions represented. It's going to be incredible. As we get ready to say goodbye, I'd love to hear your closing thoughts on the competition and what you're looking forward to for the Global Championship, Vivid.
I mean, straight up, LCM was a new addition to the FNCS format this year. I feel like it delivered so much. I feel like we've got a bunch of teams who deserve to show what they are capable of at Globals. And I mean, just speaking about Globals in general, Invitational was one of the most fun events I have ever been at. Was the first one I was able to be an analyst at, and I am looking forward to having a similar experience towards Globals because I can only imagine that it'll be even better.
And for me, just want to say thank you to the players and you guys. You guys have been awesome. Players, all the hard work, the culmination, the adversity that they have to go through to get to these moments. You just have to appreciate the greatness that we get to see on a regular basis. Global is going to be awesome. Copenhagen is an amazing city to visit. So I am so excited, and shouts out to everyone. That's all I got.
There you go. Well, thank you so much from obviously these two incredible people, Kelly Link, Monster Deface, and Jacob PR. For all of you players, now you know Globals is not that far away. It is time to go straight to homework, work on things, refine yourselves, and let's bring your very best to the Global Championship. For all of you, we hope to see you at the Global Championship. And of course, as always, we love you. Keep yourself safe. And we'll see you on that battle bus.